Epic.
Epic.
A Hollywood epic.
An epic tale of mutiny on the high seas. An epic tale of mutiny on the high seas. Epic poetry.
His epic journey to South America.
He had produced a meal of epic proportions.
Epicenter.
Epicenter.
London became the epicenter of the world fashion industry.
Epicure.
Epicure.
Epicurean. Epicurean.
Epidemic.
Epidemic.
Over 500 people died during last year's flu epidemic.
An epidemic of cholera.
Britain is suffering an epidemic of petty crime.
Violent crime is reaching epidemic proportions in some cities. Violent crime is reaching epidemic proportions in some cities.
Epidemiology.
Epidemiology.
Epidermis.
Epidermis.
Epidural.
Epidural.
Epigenetics.
Epigenetics.
Epiglottis.
Epiglottis.
Epigram.
Epigram.
Epigraph.
Epigraph.
Epilepsy.
Epilepsy.
Epileptic.
Epileptic.
He had an epileptic fit.
Epilogue.
Epilogue.
A disastrous epilogue to his career.
Epipen. Epipan.
Epiphany.
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 Episcopal.
Episcopal.
His episcopal duties.
Episcopal church.
Episcopal church.
Episode.
Episode.
She decided she would try to forget the episode by the lake.
One of the most interesting episodes in his career. Watch next week's thrilling episode.
The first episode of a new drama series.
Epistemology. Epistemology.
Epistle.
Epistle. Epistle.
Epistolary.
Epistolary.
An epistolary novel.
Epitaph.
Epitaph.
Epithet.
Epithet.
He hardly deserves the epithet fascist.
Epitome.
Epitome.
She looked the epitome of elegance.
He was the very epitome of evil.
Epitomize.
Epitomize.
This building epitomizes the spirit of the 19th century.
Epoch.
Epic.
The Victorian epoch.
The king's death marked the end of an epoch.
The beginning of a new epoch.
Epoch-making.
Epic-making.
The epoch-making social changes of the 1960s.
Epole. Epole.
Eponymous.
Eponymous.
Hester, the book's eponymous heroine.
Epoxy resin.
Epoxy resin.
Epsom salts.
Epsom salts.
E-publishing.
E-publishing.
Equable.
Equable.
A young man with a naturally equable temperament.
A place with a pleasant, equable climate.
She smiled equably.
Equal.
Equal.
Both candidates received an equal number of votes.
They believe that all work is of equal value.
The two towns are roughly equal in size.
The rent was equal to half his monthly income. The rent was equal to half his monthly income.
Our Constitution states that all men are equal. Our Constitution states that all men are equal.
Our education system should provide equal opportunities for all children. The government is committed to achieving equal rights for women. The government is committed to achieving equal rights for women.
I'm not sure he's equal to the task.
Are you equal to this challenge?
The architecture here is equal to any in the world.
This law will help small businesses to compete on equal terms with large multinational corporations. This law will help small businesses to compete on equal terms with large multinational corporations. This law will help small businesses to compete on equal terms with large multinational corporations.
All things being equal, a small car will cost less than a larger one. 2 + 2 = 4.
Prices become more stable when supply equals demand.
Thompson equaled the world record. Thompson equaled the world record.
Her distaste for books was equalled only by her dislike of people. Her distaste for books was equalled only by her dislike of people.
A highly trained workforce equals high productivity. A highly trained workforce equals high productivity.
He treats all his staff as equals.
A friendship between equals.
She wasn't his equal in intelligence.
The company proved to be the equal of its US rivals.
His paintings are without equal.
Equality.
Equality.
All people have the right to equality of opportunity.
Women have yet to achieve full equality with men in the workplace. Women have yet to achieve full equality with men in the workplace.
Equality between men and women.
The government must promote racial equality.
Equalize.
Equalize.
We have tried to equalize the workload between the different teachers.
England equalized 10 minutes later. England equalized 10 minutes later.
Equalizer.
Equalizer.
England scored the equaliser with only 10 minutes to go.
Sport is a great equalizer in schools. Sport is a great equalizer in schools.
Equally.
Equally.
You must have a good education, but practical training is equally important. We agreed to divide the money equally between everyone.
We want the economy to grow, but equally we want low inflation.
Equals sign. Equanimity.
Equanimity.
He received the news with surprising equanimity. Equate.
Equate.
Most people equate wealth with success.
A rate of pay which equates to £6 per hour. A rate of pay which equates to £6 per hour.
Equation.
Equation.
In the equation 2x plus 1 equals 7, what is x?
The tourist industry forms a crucial part of the region's economic equation.
The question of cost has now entered the equation. The question of cost has now entered the equation. The equation of violence with power. Equator.
Equator.
A small village near the equator.
Equatorial.
Equatorial.
Equatorial rainforests.
An equatorial climate.
Equestrian.
Equestrian.
Equestrian sports.
Equidistant.
Equidistant.
The city is equidistant between London and Glasgow.
Equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
The government is anxious not to upset the economic equilibrium.
She struggled to recover her equilibrium. She struggled to recover her equilibrium.
Equine.
Equine.
Equinox.
Equinox.
The spring equinox.
Equip.
Equip.
They spent a lot of money equipping the school with new computers.
He equipped himself with a hammer and nails.
The rooms are equipped with video cameras. The rooms are equipped with video cameras.
The emergency services are equipped to deal with disasters of this kind. The emergency services are equipped to deal with disasters of this kind.
A well-equipped hospital.
We equip students with the skills they will need once they leave college.
Training that will equip you for the job.
We must equip young teachers to deal with difficult children.
Equipment.
Equipment.
A shop selling camping equipment.
Some brand new computer equipment.
A very useful piece of equipment.
A lot of money was spent on the equipment of the new hospital. Equitable.
Equitable.
An equitable distribution of food supplies.
The work should be shared more equitably.
Equity.
Equity.
A society run on the principles of equity and justice.
Equivalent. Equivalent.
A qualification which is equivalent to a degree. I had no dollars, but offered him an equivalent amount of sterling.
The word has no equivalent in English. The word has no equivalent in English.
He had drunk the equivalent of 15 whiskies. He had drunk the equivalent of 15 whiskies.
Equivocal.
Equivocal. Equivocal.
His answer was equivocal.
She was rather equivocal about her work.
The results of the police inquiry were equivocal.
Equivocate.
Equivocate.
ER. ER.
Well, I'm not really sure.
Hot. Hotter.
Dry, drier. Fast, faster.
A dancer. A driver.
A scraper.
The ERA.
Era.
We live in an era of instant communication.
A new era of world peace.
His death marked the end of an era. The Victorian era.
Eradicate.
Eradicate.
We can eradicate this disease from the world. An attempt to eradicate inflation.
This problem has now been completely eradicated. This problem has now been completely eradicated.
Erase.
Erase.
The computer crashed, and all our records were erased.
Some of the names had been accidentally erased.
Their dream is to erase poverty and injustice from the world.
He couldn't erase the image from his mind.
She had tried to erase the memory of that day.
Eraser.
Eraser.
Erasure.
Erasure.
A way to avoid accidental erasure of data from your computer.
The Jazzerati. The Jazzerati. The Digerati.
Air. Air.
E-reader.
E-reader.
Erect. Erect.
An imposing town hall erected in 1892.
Police have erected barriers across the main roads into the town. Police have erected barriers across the main roads into the town. It took a couple of hours to erect the tent. Martin stood erect on the platform.
Erection.
Erection.
The erection of a new temple.
E-resume.
E-resume.
Ergative. Ergative. Ergo.
Ergo.
Ergonomics.
Ergonomics.
We were very impressed with the machine's ergonomics.
A new ergonomic design.
ERM. ERM.
Ermine.
Ermine.
Erode.
Erode.
The cliffs are being constantly eroded by heavy seas.
The rocks have gradually eroded away.
Our personal freedom is being gradually eroded away.
Repeated exam failure had eroded her confidence.
Erogenous zone.
Erogenous zone.
Erosion.
Erosion.
The problem of soil erosion.
The erosion of the coastline.
The gradual erosion of our civil liberties.
Erotic.
Erotic.
An erotic dream.
Erotica.
Erotica.
Eroticism.
Eroticism.
The eroticism of his early love poems.
It's always best to err on the side of caution.
Errand.
Errand.
I seemed to spend my life running errands for people.
She was always sending me on errands.
I couldn't stop because I was on an errand.
He quickly set out on his errand of mercy.
Errant.
Errant.
An errant wife.
Their errant son.
Erratic.
Erratic.
His breathing was becoming erratic.
His erratic behaviour.
He always drives erratically.
Erratum.
Erratum.
Erroneous.
Erroneous.
His economic predictions are based on some erroneous assumptions.
Error.
Error.
There must be an error in our calculations.
An error message.
The decision to expand the company was an error of judgment.
The doctor has admitted that he was in error.
The wrong man was arrested in error.
Ersatz.
Ersatz.
Ersatz coffee.
Erstwhile.
Erstwhile.
She found herself ostracized by erstwhile friends. She found herself ostracized by erstwhile friends.
His erstwhile allies.
Erudite.
Erudite.
Erupt.
Erupt.
Violence erupted after police shot a student during the demonstration.
A political row erupted over the MP's comments. A political row erupted over the MP's comments.
They were angry to the point of erupting into riot. They were angry to the point of erupting into riot. They were angry to the point of erupting into riot.
Their conversations often erupted into squabbles.
He erupted into loud, desperate sobs.
A volcanic eruption.
The eruption of violence.
Uri.
Uri.
Bravery.
Slavery. Machinery.
All her finery. A bakery.
An oil refinery.
Escalate.
Escalate.
Her fear was escalating into panic.
The fighting on the border is escalating.
We do not want to escalate the war. We do not want to escalate the war.
The costs were escalating alarmingly.
Policies that escalate their own costs.
Escalating crime.
The escalation of fighting in June. A rapid escalation in value.
Escalator.
Escalator.
Escallop.
Escallop.
Escapade.
Escapade.
Their dangerous escapades in the Great War.
Escape. Escape.
He broke down the locked door and escaped.
He escaped from prison in October. She escaped to Britain in 1938. She escaped to Britain in 1938.
He escaped with minor injuries.
A boy escaped unhurt when the fire in his room exploded. A boy escaped unhurt when the fire in his room exploded.
They went to the hills to escape the summer heat. They went to the hills to escape the summer heat.
The youth was trying to escape the clutches of two drunken female companions.
He narrowly escaped death in an avalanche.
The 2 passengers escaped serious injury.
They must not be allowed to escape justice.
It seemed impossible he would escape detection.
Vents allow any steam to escape if the system overheats.
A small laugh escaped her. Holman let a weary sigh escape from his lips. Holman let a weary sigh escape from his lips.
For some reason which escapes me, we had to take a taxi.
There's no escaping the fact that work has profound effects on emotions and health. There's no escaping the fact that work has profound effects on emotions and health.
The girl had no chance of escape.
Christina hoped it wouldn't be too long before she could make her escape. The firm's narrow escape from bankruptcy.
An escape route.
They had a lucky escape when a car crashed into the front of their house.
Travel can be an escape from the routine drudgery of life.
The lid prevents the escape of poisonous gases.
Escaped. Escaped.
An escaped prisoner.
Escapee.
Escapee.
Escape velocity.
Escape velocity.
Escapism.
Escapism.
Books were a form of escapism from the real world. Books were a form of escapism from the real world. Books were a form of escapism from the real world.
Pure escapist entertainment.
Escapologist.
Escapologist.
Escarpment.
Escarpment.
Escheat.
Escheat.
Eschew.
Eschew.
I had eschewed politics in favour of a life practising law.
Escort. Escort.
The shipment was escorted by guards.
2 Marines escorted Benny inside.
I escorted her to the door.
The company escorts prospective buyers around the property.
Bill escorted Ellie to the opera.
A police escort.
He was driven away to prison under armed escort.
An escort agency.
Escritoire.
Escritoire.
Escrow.
Escrow.
A property held in escrow.
Escudo.
Escudo.
Escutcheon.
Escutcheon.
Ease.
The Viennese.
I'm learning Japanese.
Chinese music.
Journalese.
Officialese.
E-signature. E-signature.
Eskimo.
Eskimo.
ESL.
ESL.
ESOL.
ESOL.
Esophagus.
Esophagus.
Esoteric.
Esoteric.
The esoteric world of scientific supercomputing.
ESP.
ESP.
Espadrille.
Espadrille.
Especial.
Especial.
Especially.
Especially.
I never liked long walks, especially in winter.
Art books are expensive to produce, especially if they contain colour illustrations.
I was especially fond of chocolate biscuits.
Feedback is especially important in learning skills.
A depreciation of the dollar would make U.S. exports cheaper, and especially so in Japan.
Graphics are especially well handled in the book.
She bought a new pair of trainers especially for the trip.
Accidents aren't especially common, but you never know.
He didn't especially want to learn to dance.
Esperanto.
Esperanto.
Espionage.
Espionage.
A campaign of industrial espionage against his main rival.
Esplanade.
Esplanade.
Espouse.
Espouse.
He espoused a variety of scientific, social and political causes. Her espousal of liberal reforms.
Espresso.
Espresso.
Esprit de corps.
Esprit de corps.
Espy.
Espy. Esquire.
Franklin Taylor, Esquire.
Esque.
Esque.
Kafkaesque.
Picturesque.
Esquire.
Esquire.
S.
S.
An actress.
2 lionesses.
Essay.
Essay.
An essay on Bernard Shaw.
Rousseau's essay on the origin of languages.
Essayist.
Essayist.
Essence.
Essence.
The essence of Arsenal's style of football was speed. The essence of Arsenal's style of football was speed.
She seems the very essence of kindness.
In essence, his message was very simple.
Vanilla essence. Good communications are of the essence to remain competitive.
Essential.
Essential.
A good diet is essential for everyone.
It is essential that our pilots be given the best possible training.
It is essential to book in advance.
Window locks are fairly cheap and absolutely essential. Even in small companies, computers are an essential tool.
The essential difference between Sam and me was the fact that I took life seriously.
The essential point of relay racing is that it is a team effort.
She packed a few essentials. We only had the bare essentials.
We have no reason to doubt the essentials of the girl's story.
Essentially.
Essentially.
Ballet is essentially a middle-class interest.
Suicide rates have remained essentially unchanged.
Essentially, we are talking about the Cold War period.
Essential oil.
Essential oil.
H. Perkins and Company. Established 1869.
Ist.
Cold, colder, coldest.
Early, earlier, earliest.
Establish.
Establish.
The city of Bern was established by German settlers in the 1840s.
Our goal is to establish a new research centre in the north.
Hungary established diplomatic relations with Chile in 1990.
I wondered why he should bother to try and establish contact with me.
The police must establish the facts of the case before proceeding.
The autopsy established that he had been murdered.
I was never able to establish whether she was telling the truth.
He had 3 years in which to establish himself as Prime Minister.
He'd already begun to establish quite a reputation as a journalist.
Established.
Established.
Competition from established businesses can be formidable. Well-established teaching methods.
By 1969, the civil rights movement was already an established fact.
Every once in a while, the established order is overthrown.
An established professor of French literature.